Okay, and we are live. Welcome, everybody, to Fiesta Friday. Welcome, Ron. It's been a big week, man.
It has, yes. Earning season is starting, and it started with a banger. And man, we are continuing to be in the roller coaster market. I know a lot of people are probably sick of this, but it can be a lot of fun. It can be a lot of challenges too. If anyone is new to the show today, we are on Fiesta Fridays doing kind of a condensed version of our Bootleg Weekly show that we do on Tuesdays. And so we typically have 1 to 2 topics instead of a bunch, and we're focused more on Q&A, a little bit more condensed. So feel free to put your questions in the comments, and thanks for being with us. So, Tevis, what you thinking with these markets? This is the longest streak that we've had, I believe, this year on the S&P 500. Maybe we had one longer in January. I saw a couple of posts on that. I'm not remembering the details. Is this rally for real, or what are you expecting?
I we can talk about that because I made a couple of moves today that I think we're gonna have another pullback at some point or another, but I don't think we're gonna revisit the lows that we were at before. But I don't think it's gonna be a straight line up. I think the ceasefire, while it's trending in the right direction, is still uh, subject to hurdles and hiccups along the way. So, I want to be able to take advantage of that, and I made a couple of moves as a result, which we're going to talk about. Let me, yeah, AI Bulls shipping champagne tonight. Yeah, Nebius is up over 30% this week. And I'm pretty sure Air Test Systems is up 55% this week. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
up
my portfolio went like before this week to it's down double digits to it might even be positive now. It's pretty close. I
really?
think probably not. Yeah, yeah.
How,
Dude,
dude?
how what? How am I down?
How are you only just positive?
Well, entering the year, my number one position, Robinhood. How's
Oh,
that doing?
yeah, that
Not so
makes
good. Number two position, SoFi. How's that doing? Not so good. Number three position, not a position anymore, was PayPal. How did it do? Not so good.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Number four position, Palantir. How's it doing on the year? Not so good. Literally everything that I bought since October has been off into the up into the right and just rampaging. But the weighting, other than air test systems, none of those others were a 10% allocation. So yeah, airheads, yes.
Yeah, I just checked my portfolio right before the close. I'm up like 17% year to date. At this point, which is like I'm fine with it. But
That's awesome.
Nebius Roy is now my number one position. It overtook SoFi, um, and people might be asking like, "Oh, are you less bullish on SoFi?" It's like, no, no, no. Nebius is up like 60% year to date, and SoFi is down like 40-ish% year to date. So that's why. That explains that. Um,
Yeah, I
but
mean, like when a position runs and it's like destroying everything else in your portfolio, and your other positions are falling, like it's real easy for things to shift around. Like if you were going to tell me like at this time this year that air test systems would be after taking profits my number one position, still I'll be like, no, it might be top three. I think it'll do pretty well, but I mean, here we are. Robinhood and SoFi, they've melted down. Now, long term, I think that they'll be fine, but like, yeah, it is kind of what it is. Yeah, it's been a good week, and I'm
it's been
glad I'm in Nebius. But I guess we can kind of start there and maybe talk some of our moves, and then we can talk more about what we expect as far as macro, because one of my moves is related to that. Would you like to go first?
I with regards to our moves, you mean?
Yeah, or do you
How
want to
about
talk
you
macro
go? You
first?
go first, and I'll just grab a drink real quick.
And I've got mine. I am sipping on more of these Costco drinks. The tropical. It feels like a tropical kind of day with the rainstorm that we're having out there in Houston. Yeah. All right. So I've not made too many moves this week. I've been buying. I bought a little bit more VG. I bought some more figure. Figure. It might take a little while for it to turn around. bought like just a few shares, not many. I've got the world's slowest DCA in Alberta. That's the best monster right there.
Mhm.
You, the top of your can looks different. Do they have different cans in Canada? Canada.
I don't know. I don't want to tilt
It
it
looks
because
like wider for some reason, but yeah, yeah. I
um,
showed the audience, but yeah.
the Kirkland. You're back on the Kirklands, man.
Well, they come in 24 packs. It's like $16. I'm like, dude, the, do I like Monster better? Yes. Do I like Monster 2.5 times better? No.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Carl,
so yeah,
they refuse to sponsor me, Carl. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?
he's holding out for a sponsorship. He needs a sponsor.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So yeah, my moves basically just nibbling on some of the stocks that I wanted to add to. There's some that we're going to talk maybe about more in the later show with Steve of what we have our eyeballs on as far as software. And there's one in particular. I mean, you guys know it, Cloudflare. It's not fallen to where I want it yet, but I have to do some thinking this weekend if it keeps going this direction. I never thought I'd be able to get a position in it. It's always been expensive. It might surprise me, so that'd be great. But yeah, and beyond that, the only thing that I really did was roll some Nebius leaps, and thankfully I had one at 140. I actually misremembered the one that I had on Webull, and yeah, the others were 130, 134, I think, and so I rolled them 2 weeks out to 140. So it is what it is. They're underwater. I'm okay letting Nebius go. I don't love it. I prefer not, but it's a very volatile stock. Didn't expect we'd be up 30, almost 35% in a week with the chop that we've had in the market. And we could open on Monday and we're way down. Who knows? I should say, like, the only other thing that I did was with Air Test Systems. Of course, they had earnings. They ran a lot. The first gains that I actually took beyond just selling covered calls, and I intentionally did so on this, I sold a single covered call at $50. I sold more at 55, 65 as well. And then I think I have one at 75. So the $50 one, I'm like, it expires next week. I'm thinking, okay, let me just go ahead because it's so deep in the money now. Let me just go ahead and have that money now to shift over and into my Roth. And I went ahead and did that, maxed out my Roth for the rest of the year, and kept some cash there in the main account too. And it just feels good entering the earnings season every time, Tevis. I try to do this every time, but the market doesn't sometimes cooperate. And sometimes my finances are not where I can just send a lot of money into the portfolio. Usually that's the case, actually. It's just about the same amount every 2 weeks. But entering an earnings season, there's always a stock or two that just gets irrationally beat up. And they're usually names that I'm like really interested in. So I don't mind having a little extra cash with the current macro. The other interesting thing that I did you see? Let me actually pull this up.
And
Because you are
do that. By the way, thank you, Ori, very much. We will get to this, I promise. But let's cover our moves first, and then we'll jump into that.
Oh yeah. So the only thing that I did, and I won't show. I don't know what the live is, and the market's closed. So but I saw this yesterday. I was not looking at rolling any air test systems. I'd sold like if every single one of my strikes prior to this had gotten hit, about a third of my position would be sold, and that's into 75s a month out. So I ended up looking at this last night. It went higher, Tevis. We saw this on the bid side over $4. So $400 for selling 100 shares. At the time, this was 68, 78. Of course, we went into the 70s. We closed in the 70s today. I think the stock's a little bit ahead of itself, personally. Long term, and even like later this year, there are things that could absolutely send it higher and completely justify where it's at and actually make it look cheap.
Yeah.
But we're not there yet. So I had to look at this and say, okay, we're looking at not quite, you're around a 50% increase off of the current price. It's a little bit less. For, at the time, $400 for next month. Yeah, let me do that. So there is a scenario where air test systems, I don't expect it, but it just keeps going. Now, not all my shares are that, but that'll be over half my shares.
Yeah.
If next month it goes to $95 a share. It's not, I mean, there could be news that comes out. There is one piece of news that I think that'll push it a little bit higher, but I don't expect like a mega order. Just it's a long sell cycle and everything. So I'm like, dude, I'm gonna regret more not at least taking some of those premiums and enjoying it. But the rest, yeah, I've got some shares just like Jackson says that I'm just letting ride that I've not even at that very tempting price sold covered calls on. So
Look, one thing I'll say, and this might be the wrong mentality, but there's so much recency bias in the market, Roy, where a couple of months ago, everything was in the gutter and we were looking at a dozen names that we wanted to add to. We were looking at Wix. I was looking at Figma, Cloudflare, we both wanted to add. Figure was one of them. I could name you 10 other companies that we were interested in adding and are doing active diligence on. And now the market is back for many names. Nebius is at all-time highs. Air Test Systems is up over 3x in the past 3 months. If it breaks $95, I don't think you should have any sort of allegiance to hold it or roll out. It's like, dude, you're making a 4 times your money at $95 in 3 months, and all of those opportunities are still out there. Wix is still near its
yeah,
lows. Cloudflare is up down 30%, 13% today. So many of these companies have not rebounded in the same way. And I think you would definitely get some insane arbitrage if you start thinking about it, where, hey, I took a big swing, it turned into a big win. Air is not going to be the thing that retires me. Let me leverage that to go into the next thing. That might be a little bit too trader mentality, and I generally want to avoid that. But because we're in this so like unpredictable, volatile market, I think that's where most of my mindset is going right now. Is like, okay, what are the opportunities that have not caught a bid yet?
yeah. So like, yeah, and that's exactly like where I'm looking again with Nebius. I rolled and like I'll probably roll one more time depending on the strike price and everything. This is 2 weeks out already. But if it just runs away from me, so be it. I'm up like 60% on that already. I'd prefer to have it long term, but this is like you said, a target rich environment as far as like opportune stocks. Some of them, like we'll talk software some in the later show might not rebound immediately. Some of them I might even be wrong on, but like it's not like October where if this was happening, I'd be like, "Oh, man, there's just not that many opportunities." And then like with
Yeah.
air at $95, if it goes to that in May, that's over a 5x for me off of my cost basis. Over. Um,
Yeah.
it's hard to say no to that when that's less than a year time. I'll let some run, probably at least a quarter of my position, just because, like I don't know, have I ever shared with you my ultra Bowl or my either my longer term price target or my ultra bowl scenario?
For
Uh,
air,
yeah.
it's over 100, I believe, but I don't remember the exact number.
It's over 200. But they haven't done enough to prove that they can get there. So, like the long term, I think that they can. But I'm saying like the Ultra Bowl over the short term, over the next year. So it's like, yeah, I'm trying not to be too greedy, making myself take profits. A lot of people went up from like $18 to like doubled at 36. They're like, "You're crazy for not taking." I'm like, nah, this absolutely can go higher by the end of the year. It just surprised me as far as the ferocity. The other, I made one other move in the market, and I do want to talk about it, Tevis, but I would like you to
Please.
go first because this move relates to the macro.
All right. So, what did I do this week? Let me see if I can um, remember everything. I'm just looking at my option trade spreadsheet in front of me. So, I wrote covered calls on air at $65, which got smoked because this thing was up. I wrote them when, okay, hold on. What was it at? It was at 52 when I wrote them on April 6th. And I wrote them for $65 and I collected $5 in premium. And now those same call options are worth much more. Um, but the cool thing about this is because it's so volatile, the time value is so much where I can roll these up to like 75 or $85, a month later and still get a net credit for them because there's so much premium in the time value. The IV is so high. So that was the first one. And I don't know, maybe I'll end up doing that for air. The expiry on that one is May 15th. I wrote Nebius covered calls today at $200 a share, and I got $3.50 in premium
Okay.
for those for May 15th. And then I also wrote Nebius covered calls earlier today for 195, and I got I got 70 cents for that because it's for April 24th. It's like 2 weeks from now. I think I don't know, man. Like Nebius is up quite a bit. I don't think they're going to be a straight shot to 200. So I'm just taking advantage of the covered call premium. If they are, and I have to let go of half of my Nebius position at $200. Again, it's like my cost basis on Nebius is like $80. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that, and I can probably manage the position, roll it out, or whatever. But yeah, the premiums is insane, and it's not like Nebius is now my number one premium generated or premium realized stock. I think my second one is Hims, and my third one is SoFi. So that just gives you a sense of the magnitude. I rolled my Amazon covered calls. I had Amazon covered calls at 225, and Amazon just like decided to say fuck Tevis this week.
Really good news for them too.
Yeah,
Like with the
Jassie's
premium
letter.
chips. Yeah. Oh my goodness, dude.
We
Yeah.
can cover that. We can cover that.
I knew when we did that ranking. I think it was Was it last? No, it's 2 weeks ago. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I got Amazon too low. Now I'm like, I might even have it lower than where I wanted to adjust it to. So, but yeah,
Um,
congratulations on Amazon, dude. Like that. So what did you roll it to? How far out?
yeah. So I rolled it to 235 for May 15th, and I got a slight net credit. I think like 80 cents net credit for that. 235 is still under where it's trading right now. So I'll probably have to end up giving those shares away if this rally continues. But quite frankly, Roy, I'm okay with that because 5% of my entire portfolio is in Amazon spreads, dude. So if Amazon decides to go back to 250, 260, I will be a very happy camper with no actual shares, but just options on Amazon. And what else did I do? Oh, I rolled. So this is, I don't know if I told you guys this on Tuesday or not, but I rolled my VG covered calls to $14
Oh, nice.
uh, for April 24th. And those are like pretty, like I was thinking about closing them today because like they're pretty healthy in profit. But I was like, screw it, just keep them on because they're like a hedge essentially. The last thing I did was I closed all of my Nebius puts. I've been talking, we know about this position for months now. My $90 puts were closed. Hold on, let's see. I have them on my spreadsheet here. So I have Nebius 4 puts at $90, and I posted this on Twitter as well. That I opened on February 27th. I closed them on April 10th, 42 days later. I opened them for $14.64. I closed them for $1.27. And
That's
then my
awesome.
Nebius 115s, which I opened again on February 5th when Nebius was at $75. 4 cash secured puts at 115 that I got $43 in premium for, and I closed them for $4.80 today.
Yeah,
So I was
these were
very
like
happy
if
with
you guys are not in options, these are deep in the money puts that he
yeah.
was writing, and there is a time and place for that, but that's usually seen as like the most degenerate way to do cash secured puts. And Tevis, leave it to him, like to find like, oh, this is a safe strategy that if you like this stock and no, he will degen it up. So, but congrats on those. Like, I'm still like in shock that my entry was in early February, so I didn't get the very bottoms. Those $70. I needed one more day on it, and those $70 puts would have filled. And instead, just went up into the right. I'm like, hey, I am not making the same mistake as I've done before, where I'm like, I missed. I'll try it again. Like, no, I want a position. I was out of Hims. I had some PayPal money left over. Let me buy some Nebius, and I'm glad that I did. So added to it too. So, but do you think? Okay, a couple of things on Nebius, and you might have some more things on your portfolio too. Did it surprise you that it just smashed through the all-time high. Because this was not like that's kind of where I wrote one of the well, I guess I wrote one of the covered calls on the other side. I wrote the other covered calls a little bit more aggressively. But if we look at this chart here, like I was thinking 135 might be some sort of resistance, and it just treated it like there was nothing.
Mhm.
Now we're in price discovery territory, which scares me. Like, could
So
we see 200 on it? Yeah,
you
I could
you
miss out.
you can, and here's why, Roy, because Nebius still has over 20% short float. Okay. So the amount of short sellers on this name is what fueled the move today, I think. And the price discovery will fuel it even further. So I do think Nebius goes higher. Um, it might pull back. Obviously, we'll see if the whatever 138, 139 previous all time high holds as support. But there's a lot of short interest on Nebius, man. And as more analysts come out, like there was another analyst that came out this week with I think it was $127 price target. As more and more of them come out, well, it's going to get more, like there's going to be more validation, right? Amazon, I saw, was investing like 25 billion in a data center in Missouri, I believe it was. And I'm still waiting for the Amazon Nebius news to drop, the Google Nebius news to drop. Like there's still so much that the company is doing that, again, dude, think about this. This is a $36 billion company, right? Like it's not crazy, right? I could easily see it being a $50 billion company, right? Like they're freaking spending 20 billion in capex this year. And so, yes, it is at all-time highs. Yes, it is a stark contrast with the market because most of the market is down or flat and this thing is up like 50, 60%. But it's also well deserved because they're executing and they have a high short interest. So that in the short term, it's going to drive up the IV, it's going to drive up the premiums for selling options, and it's going to drive up the stock price when those shorts get caught, like they just did yesterday.
What do you think about Andy Hoxha's comment there at 623? They said Meta did the deal with both, and I believe many big players also want to diversify their supplier. I wouldn't be surprised if Anthropic will do this for Nebius.
Everybody is going to do deals with everybody, Andy, because it's just the space is so large that it justifies that. It's almost like a blue ocean, right? It's not necessarily that, oh, because Meta is doing a deal with whatever, CoreWeave, that they're not doing it with Nebius. Meta is doing a deal with Nebius for as much capacity as Nebius can commit to. If Nebius magically said, hey, we can do 10 gigawatts, then Meta would do way more. Meta has an open standing uh, you know, contract essentially to buy, I think it's $15 billion of uncommitted or unsold capacity. Basically saying to Nebius, like, hey, we have 15 billion here in a cash pile, essentially. And anything that you guys don't sell in the next couple of years, we will buy, hands down.
That's awesome.
Like the
That is so
demand is
awesome.
that large. It's like Meta doing a deal with CoreWeave or any of these guys doing a deal with any competitor further validates the space. It should not be seen as competition that's taking away because the pool is so large.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask. Okay, so we're kind of in between, close to in between anyway. $200 and $100. This is a very volatile stock. I have a feeling which one that you'll say, but I'm kind of curious. What percent chance would you give it?
Which we
Would
see
it
first.
go to 200 first or 100 first? And with your answer, like what percent confident would you put it if you were making odds?
60, 40, 100, 200.
100 first before 200?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Why?
Because I think if the well, I think the technical pattern looks really good. I think the momentum looks really good. But the biggest piece of uncertainty for me is the macro. Because if let's
Yeah.
say we get heated up on the macro again, like you could very easily see 100. Because the first place that profit taking will be on is on Nebius, right? Just think
Yeah.
about that logically. Like even myself, like, oh, I have a big W on Nebius. Like that's the first thing I'm going to sell if I see other deals that I want to pick up on that drawdown. So,
Yeah.
but
That
I
makes
don't
sense.
know.
That your answer surprised me though, because that's I would say about maybe 65 to 70. I'll say 65% chance of 100 first, just because of the macro. And if you have more updates, great. Otherwise, I'll pivot to my last move that I made, and we can talk about macro because it's related.
The only other move that I made, Roy, and I posted about this on X as well, was I bought SoFi Leaps for June 2028 at $15 per share. I bought 7 of those, about $5,000 worth of SoFi Leaps. So
I like it. Yeah.
that's it.
All right. So the other move that I made, and I almost never do this, and even when I do, I rarely talk about it. I'm comfortable doing it now because the market's closed, so no one's gonna chase into me, not knowing what they're doing, not knowing options or anything. I There's been this pattern that I think everybody has recognized and observes that Trump tends to do big things outside of stock market after hours. So, in other words, after 8 p.m. tonight is the long weekend, and you can look at how many things were launched, initiated, spoken about, big policy changes and moves right after 8 p.m. Eastern time on Friday. It's not a coincidence. And this ceasefire has always been pretty shaky, and it's even shakier than what we were talking about, of course, on Tuesday when the news broke. I don't know that the ceasefire is going to fall apart this weekend. But I'm like, I want some downside protection. So I ended up writing some cash secured puts, not cash secured puts. I'm used to writing cash secured puts. I wrote just naked puts, 675, which it's down less than 1% for the S&P 500, for the SPY specifically, actually. And it's just for Monday. So like theta decay is going to be terrible and abysmal. Those could easily go to zero. It's not a huge sum of money. But I went ahead and calculated basically like how much I wanted to hedge and protect my portfolio versus like the money that I'm just completely okay just throwing away. And so I went ahead and bought some insurance over the weekend. Helps me rest easy too. I don't have to be like too focused on what's happening, and I can think about other things. So figured it's worth the money. If we do see like one of these days where the S&P 500 is down 3%. Those things will print, and the rest of my portfolio will look abysmal. But it's anybody's guess, and I really hope that I'm wrong. But man, I don't know if the ceasefire is going to last the 2 weeks, and I don't know. I'm skeptical of it, and that's why I also agree with you as far as Nebius moving down to $100 before it hits 200. It's the macro that we're in.
That's why I wrote the covered calls, right? Like I wrote the covered calls. Like instead of buying puts on the SPY, I just wrote covered calls on the positions that I want. And like at the end of the day, they're so far out of the money, and it's off of a back of such a big move that if we get a big red day, those things are going to be cut in half, right? Like this is the thing where when I wrote covered calls on air at $50 and then just closed them 2 days later because air had dropped to $33. And I think we can get that same thing. I think 8 p.m. could definitely happen. We can get a tweet. So, we can watch out for that. It's actually interesting timing, Roy, because Iran's negotiating team has just arrived as of an hour ago to Pakistan for talks with the U.S. So
say that one more time. I don't think I heard you right.
The negotiating team for Iran has just arrived to Pakistan for their talks with the U.S. about an hour ago.
Okay. Yeah, I did hear you right then. Okay.
So meaning that like we're going to see some news drop, and if those negotiations are not going, as smooth, we're probably going to see Trump do some impulse tweeting over tonight. TBD. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, obviously, like if we do have a lasting ceasefire, I think the market is definitely pricing in the ceasefire leading to something more permanent, but that's not fully priced in. Like if we actually do see the reverse, and I'd love to see that, a lasting peace that actually stabilizes the Middle East, then or at least for a while. I mean, it's politics aside, it's never really that long, but more stable. We're gonna see all-time highs pretty soon. So, and that would be nice.
It would be nice. It would definitely be nice. Yeah. we'll see, right? Like,
Yes.
I think this week is so like they announced a 2 week ceasefire, right? I think the first week, which is the week that just passed, like that's pretty much in the bag right after the first 24 hours where it was shaky. It's like it's pretty much in the bag because people can trade freely, like the market can rally and it has a little bit of breathing room because it has certainty until that 2 week window. The last week of the 2 week window is when the market is going to start, being forward looking and saying, oh, actually, negotiations are supposed to be, coming on Tuesday or on Wednesday, whatever. Let me just sell off right now, or let me buy some downside protection, or let me sell some covered calls, whatever the case may be, right? Let me lock in some of my gains because they don't know what that decision is going to be, right? Um, but obviously, I think did you also see Ukraine and Russia were like ceasefire and that they were heading towards peace? And it's just like, dude, my portfolio loves
And
it right now.
Steve reminded me of this. I did see this. Israel and Lebanon today agreed to start talking with each other, and that's been one of two really sticky points with the ceasefire. Is Israel's like, nope, we're going to continue shelling Lebanon to oblivion, or not. It's tongue in cheek, but I mean, they did not want to stop that conflict. So, I mean, like, it would be pretty crazy if all three of these kind of resolve in like the same 3 month period. It'd be really nice though.
Yeah.
War's terrible.
All right, what's next?
Well, I think Q&A period. This is the Ron and Travis show. Are you ready to start that early?
They're on Travis. All right, let's start with donation questions.
Yes.
And then we're going to go into the rest of the questions.
It's just an Easter pause for Russia, Ukraine. Okay.
Let's see. Ori, thank you for the 17.9 shekels. Tevis Roy would love to hear your thoughts on Anthropic, Burry, and Trump's tweet. Okay, Trump's tweet, I'm assuming, is the Palantir one. I don't know what Burry or Anthropic are.
Oh, I'll show you the Trump one. I had to look it up because I was like, okay, is this actually real? Because this would have been like
Palantir one, right?
What's that? Yeah, the Palantir one.
Yeah, okay.
But here it is. This wouldn't have been. Burry actually deleted his original Palantir tweet, which is really annoying because I made a video and I'm like, I should have just screenshotted it because, anyway, Donald Trump did post this on Truth Social. Palantir Technologies has proven to have great warfighting capabilities and equipment. Just ask our enemies, President DJT. What's really interesting about this? So this came out this morning. I missed it when it came out, but a lot of Palantir bulls like tagged me. So
it pumped because of it.
What's that?
It pumped a little bit because of it.
I mean, I wouldn't say pumping, but it didn't hurt.
It moved.
It doesn't hurt.
I'll show you on the chart.
Yeah,
we go ahead.
But yeah, he sounds exactly like Sham Sankar and Alex Karp. So Alex Karp has been saying the just ask our enemies for a long time, and of course Sankar talks about the great warfighting, the warfighter, and how Palantir is there to actually equip and help them. So I thought that was pretty interesting. For Burry, there was one quote. Let me pull it up real quick. Cassandra Unchained.
I'll show you. Can you point to me, Roy, where the tweet was?
Maybe when it went up to the right.
Yeah,
it was down. You're right. It went up actually more than I expected. So yeah.
That's exactly when Trump tweeted. So it went from 124 to 128. So yeah, it pumped $4. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something.
It's still weird and wild to me, like that this company that back in 2021 and 2022, really small size. A lot of people are like, nah, they don't do anything special, and all of us bulls were like, no, this is going to change the world, and I mean, we sounded delusional, and now it's like we're seeing things that we would only have dreamed about at this point. So. Yeah, as far as Cassandra or Unchained, which is Michael Burry, this was the tweet that didn't get deleted. There was one other one that did. He said, probably worth following Claude if you're an investor in these markets. And it was related to, this is related to his Palantir comment that was earlier of Claude Cowork. His thesis, and that it's really interesting that he really didn't delete anything else except for that one Palantir tweet. I don't think there's been any additional. Yeah. So essentially what he said was, Anthropic is eating Palantir's lunch, that this enterprise solution is going to destroy the commercial TAM of Palantir. It's going to just chomp that to bits. And Palantir can have the government side, which is very low margin anyway. That's a paraphrase, but that's precisely what he said. I have a much longer video if you guys are interested in it, or Palantir, that I just posted yesterday that details that. Sadly, the original tweet is gone because Burry does that sort of thing. Actually, I was wondering about why he would have deleted that and not everything else. And I'm guessing that he might have realized his mistake with the margin. Usually government side is very low margin. There's no evidence that there's less evidence for SaaS that it's lower margin, but especially that's what some people think. Do we called his emergency? Oh, okay. I didn't see that one. I guess it was in regards to the Trump tweet that happened earlier. So yeah, but he's wrong on Palantir. He's been wrong a number of times. I don't think he fully understands it. It's still the weirdest thing to me, Tevis. Like, the two companies that he's chosen to short are Nvidia and Palantir. And I get Palantir based on valuation. I think it's dumb to short things on valuation alone, and it's dangerous because, I mean, like, air test systems, people have been trying to short this since the 40s.
Does Burry,
Why do you short?
does he still even have a short position on Palantir? I think he's just doing it for the love of the game at this point.
I mean, we'd have to see when the quarterly findings come out. What's interesting is, like, right before this, he said shorts don't last forever, and people actually assumed, oh, he's out of his short positions on Nvidia and Palantir. But he keeps talking about them, and I'm like, okay, this doesn't seem like a dude that's out. He's just trying to fight against these. He's had the help of the macro, but, like, you're picking, like, some of the two most important players in the AI space. And the funniest thing that I saw on Burry this week was somebody made the observation, because he's longing Lululemon, he's longing. There's a lot of other names too. And there's some good ones. I think he's in Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. I guess you could actually pull it up if you wanted to. But somebody actually had made the posting like, actually, if Burry had shorted all the companies that he longed and longed the companies that he had shorted, he would be better off. That's crazy.
The reality is, Roy, that Burry now has a Substack, and he might be out of his Palantir short, and he's just still talking shit about Palantir for the engagement.
Getting that money. Yeah, getting that money.
All right, so I hope that answers your question, Ori. Thank you so much for the donation. Let's move down. Diego says, I have two Nebius calls. Congratulations. Expiring Jan 2027, one with a strike of $85 and one with a strike of $100, both up 100%. Would you close them or keep them? I mean, I personally, I actually did close a Nebius call option that I had today. That's how I funded the SoFi leaps. It was about 5K. But the Nebius call option that I closed today, was $200 for January of 2027. Those are very different than $85 ones. So I think that $85 looks pretty good to me. $100. I mean, safe play is just close one, leave one on. You can close both and turn them both into shares if that's safer for you for downside. But I don't know. Personally, I would probably let one of them ride and then close the other.
And of course, none of this is financial advice. It's just kind of like what we would do in this hypothetical. So for me, if I have an even number of options or somewhere close to that, I'll often, if we go on if it's like periodic and slow and material changes have been made and things are better, great. But if there's a position I have that is just rocketing, like Nebius is, like Airtest is, and I've written some options and they're deep in the money, what I'll usually do is I'll take the gains out of them once they've doubled, and options can easily do that. I'm sure you're at more than a double, just to pay for the initial allocation, and I'll let the rest ride with something that I don't plan to exercise. If it stays deep in the money, you're not going to really have as much theta decay. But with something like that, I'll oftentimes look to close it out within the last 3 months, or actually before the last 3 months. Theta decay in the last 3 months is a little bit more if it's not deep in the money. And the last month, like it can be very brutal too. So That's just kind of how I like to play it. The other thing that if you're an options guy, look into poor man's covered calls. Make sure you understand them before you do them. But that's a really fun thing to do on a stock that gives you very high premiums. And I mean, you're deep in the money. So
Yeah.
that I would probably just do poor man's covered calls actually, because the premiums are stupid. Yeah. Research them if you don't know them. Probably don't do them if don't understand them. But it's a good strategy for leaps.
That's also a great idea. All right, let's go in chronological order from now on. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Haven't built out my Nebius position and still want to add. Problem is the price action is all-time high. I know it'll grow, but how do you deal with buying high? So one thing you could do, Thomas, that I would probably do here if I didn't have a position is I would write cash secured puts and have the market pay you up. So I would write cash secured puts and and have the market pay you while you wait. I mean, that's just me personally. Like I have cash secured puts right now that are on for SoFi. And if I get hit on them, they put me into, deeper margin. But obviously don't mess with margin if you don't, want to take on that risk. But I'm mostly answering the second part of that question, which is like, how do you deal with buying at highs? It's just don't, dude. Just do cash secured puts until it comes down, because generally speaking, it will. And if it never comes down, then you just get paid every single week, every single 2 weeks, for offering to buy it at a 20% discount of what it's trading.
Yeah, I love that if you have cash. But if you don't, I've been in that position too. When I started doing individual investing, I've had some, that I've had since I was 13 and I've been adding to. But outside of that, that was a really small, like my portfolio is not massive of what I'm sharing. It's triple digits. It's 6 digits, not 7. But I was in that position with Palantir, and I'm like, hey, I don't have enough Palantir. I need to add to it, and I only had a certain amount of money coming in. All I did was just DCA, and I was like, I don't know about the price. Like, it felt like at the time in 2022 when it's starting to fall, I'm like, oh, 18 is great. It's under 20. It fell to $6. Did that feel bad at the time? Yeah, but I'm like, this is a great company that has a lot of upside. Let me buy my like 5 or 10, 15, 20. In some cases, I had, $5,000 come in the market, and I'm like, let me deploy that as well. But largely, I just did DCA. What I actually did too with some positions, it wasn't actually Palantir, and I'm still doing with Bitcoin, is I have a certain amount. I'm underweight on Bitcoin, and I want to add to it, and so I made the decision a little over a year ago. Matt Money talked to me. Well, he didn't talk me into this, but he talked to me about what he was doing, and I'm basically allocating, I think, 1.5% of my income into Bitcoin, and so like every single paycheck, it's set there automatically. I don't think about it. It just buys it. That makes it easier to get over well, it could fall further and maybe I'll wait. Or, no, it's up at an all-time high. I don't want to buy. Are you going to get the best entry with DCA? No. But I'm very confident in Bitcoin over the long term. I know we're in a crypto winter. I need more of it, and that's the way to do it. For me.
Yeah. Can't really go wrong with DCAing if you actually have intention to hold for the long term. I think that's a great strategy to do, and it's very safe as well. So you can also run with that. All right, let's move over to our next question here, and it comes from Jackson, who says, Amazon and Nebius make up a decent chunk of my portfolio. Is it worth adding here? I think Roy's earlier point applies.
Yeah.
If you want to hold it for the long term, DCA in. I would probably write cash secured puts here. Personally speaking, like a part of me was saying today, because I had my Amazon covered calls expiring today, a part of me was saying like, hey, should I just let them go at 225 and then just write cash secured puts at 225? I decided to roll them. It's all gravy at the end of the day. Like, even if you get paid with cash secured puts while you wait, I wouldn't be too sad about that. You're getting money every week, right? So it's recency bias, man. If you're like, oh, like that's not fast enough, that's not enough money for me. It's like, homie, just backtrack 2 weeks. Where were you? Right? We were all struggling, right? And if 2 weeks ago I told you, hey, man, you can't buy shares, but I'll pay you this week, and Nebius was at $85 and Amazon was under 200, you'd be like, thank you very much. But because now they're both climbing higher, you have recency bias, and you're like, well, it can go way higher. Like the cash secured put money doesn't feel as appealing, right? So, um, anyways, just food for thought. BL, why isn't MicroStrategy and BMNR moving with crypto today? BMNR did announce a $4 billion buyback. Yeah, I mean, like, I'm going to talk about BMNR more tomorrow, but generally speaking, there are weeks where they don't move completely in unison.
Yeah, I know like early on in BM&R, when it switched over to the digital asset treasury, Tom Lee talked about that possibility of being under the NAV and actually buying back the stock, that you can play it both ways. There's been others that have done this before, and they've usually had to sell Ethereum to do that. ETHZilla is probably the biggest culprit. Maybe culprit's the wrong word. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that actually looks like, how they'll use it. We may not know. Well, actually, let me ask you this, Tevis. Do you think that they're actually going to report on shares bought back each week, or not? I personally don't. I think they'll wait until they
No.
have to report SEC filing in the 10Q.
No, they won't. And the reason why is because if they report on shares bought back, then it's going to open a whole can of worms on shares outstanding, and people are going to realize how much they actually dilute every single week. And it's
Yeah.
going to be like, I wouldn't, if I was in their position, but I don't know. I don't think they will.
Yeah.
All right. Shayna says, came here purely because the thumbnail had me laughing out loud like a nutter. Hope you guys don't let me down. I can resonate with that, Shayna. Jackson again said, I've had a weekly DCA into SoFi ever since we came off the highs. It's the largest position in my portfolio. Do you think they get back to all-time highs this year? Do I keep adding? Yes, I think they get back to all-time highs this year. I would be adding in fact, I did add last week. I bought 600 shares. The week before that, I bought 10 leaps. And this week, I bought 7 more leaps. So that's your answer right there. Last 3 weeks, I've been buying SoFi consistently.
Yeah. I added as we were falling. So last month, I think was the last ad that I did in SoFi. The next buys, if we continue to fall, are probably going to be leaps. I just have a few left of $10 strikes that expire in January. So, I was buying those when SoFi was like $6 or $7. So I'd be glad to reload those. But as far as shares, I don't think I plan to add. I could be surprised.
All right. Frasmu, is private credit fears what's bringing SoFi down?
It's a good chunk of it.
Is it though?
Yes.
I feel like SoFi just goes down whenever SoFi wants to go down, bro.
There's several things that are weighing on SoFi, and that's, I don't know. There's two really big ones. One is this private credit fear, and how palpable that is. It's hard to say. There's something there for sure. It hasn't, and I feel like when SoFi announced the additional securitization agreements for the loan platform business, kind of dispelled the fear that I had that maybe there's going to be less demand just because there's a lot more outflows than they typically have in those funds that they actually restrict. So no, they're re-upping. There's an appetite there, at least for now. I think that there continues to be. The other big one was inflation reigniting, and instead of having 2 rate cuts, which SoFi even guided for as far as their macro expectations, having a rate hike. Now we're not there yet. Right now, well, I haven't looked today, but when I looked earlier this week, we were at parity, that people were expecting No rate cuts, no hikes. We did have CPI, so maybe this has shifted a little bit. And actually, let me pull this up here, Tevis, so we can all take a look together. But
Yep.
this is the other one. Rate cuts don't paint the whole story for SoFi at all, but they are incredibly bullish for lenders, including SoFi. So we're currently here at 350, 375. And yeah, that's where we're sitting right now. Really, it's actually moved a lot from one day. It was actually at 71%, almost like you rarely see that this far out. This is looking at December 26th. So a little bit more that are predicting at least one cut. So that's nice. But yeah, that's really weird. Look at this, Tevis. We went from 1.5% of people predicting a rate hike to 13.8. So all that seemed to happen is people decided to widen their opinions on both sides. That's very interesting. Huh. I guess it probably depends on what they view the ceasefire agreement as. There's people out there that are like myself that are very skeptical to last. There's others that are like, hey, we might have all three conflicts be resolved.
It's true. And you know what? On this point, like I realized a healthy loss on buying back those covered calls. I tried to mitigate it as much as possible. Sold cash secured puts at the same strike price, did all those little tricks, rolled it out at the perfect time. But like at the end of the day, I still realized a good chunk of a loss. And you know how stupid you feel 6 months later when it's trading like $6 below what you realized a loss on because I could have just rolled them 6 months out and been out scot free right now. And so I
Yeah.
think that, like, I understand why TJ and Matt and these other guys, like, they just keep rolling and rolling and rolling because you never know. You never know, right? So there is a downside to that as well. But like, man, I think about that sometimes where I'm like, why the hell did I close those SoFi covered calls? I should have just let the shares go, booked a profit, and just kept on doing my thing.
I usually will roll twice or maybe three times, and then I'll let it go. It depends how deep in the money we are. If it's like narrowly there, it's almost like I'll keep doing that. But if it just keeps getting buried, I'm like, okay, all right. And I've had to do that on Palantir. Sadly, that's why my position is. It's probably about 8% today, 7 or 8%. But instead of where I'd like to have it, which would have actually been more painful right now. But
Yeah. Natalia, Roy, appreciate your analysis and timely videos on air. I'm sure you listen to Matt Money on Energy. Why are you not buying next decade? It has a huge potential and only mention VG. I have both VG and Next.
Natalia, first, thank you for the donation. I really appreciate that, and also for air. I like to have a super concentrated portfolio. Matt Money, he probably has like 30 positions, maybe not quite that many.
I think he only has
And they're how many?
I think he only has like 8, 7 or 8, but like I think one of them
Really?
is an ETF.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought he had a lot of dividend stocks too. Might be wrong.
maybe.
Well,
I don't
he does concentrate though, still in his portfolio. So both VG and Next, of course, are American LNG plays. Next is going to be starting to produce soon. I think it's a good opportunity. And when VG was rocketing up and Next was actually kind of being left behind, I was really interested in saying, okay, let me take some of this VG money and put it in Next. I know that they can't benefit off the spread immediately, but at some point they're actually be producing LNG. So this year, and I was going to make that move, and you know what happened right then is when the market started paying attention to Next. Now I'm not really VG has faltered. LNG, I think VG is actually underpriced, which is why I wrote cash seeker puts, which are actually filling or filled today. Uh, but no, I'm open to Next. I just it's easier for me to concentrate on just a select few names, and I like the fact that VG is producing right now. So
I think that's a major thing, Natalia. Like if I think about, a cohort of investors that has purchased VG as a trade, they do so like for example for myself, right? If I were to buy Next right now, I would be waiting for a period of time until they're fully operational and it's actually showing in their financials. Versus if I buy VG, I bought VG and I bought it as a trade because if the war escalates, then oil is going to go up and VG is producing, so they're directly going to profit off of that. So I think there is a portion of the short term geopolitics in that as well.
Yeah, and like I need to know next better too. I'm sure that they have some I know that they have some SPAs. I don't know if they signed any recently or not. That is one way that they can actually benefit is these long-term contracts while we're at elevated prices. But yeah, we'll have to see.
Shayna says, Roy, your air call is becoming stuff of legend.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Air Jordan, man, I'm telling you. A question for the queue. Is SoFi management really going to miss every single performance bonus, or do they still have a shot at least hitting? So the $25 bonus has been locked in.
Mm-hmm.
They held that level for, I think it's 30 days that they need to hold it at. But basically, they held that level back in the fall. That's locked in. That's already earned, right? So even though it fell afterwards, it reached that price and it held it for that period of time. Therefore, that bonus is earned. 35 is gone. 45 is gone. Like they're not hitting those.
Yeah, I mean, there are theoretical things that could happen where they could hit them, but I mean, it's very improbable just because it's a volume weighted average. So we would have to not only see SoFi like go up past 35, but also hold it and have immense volume over that. And even, if we see all three conflicts resolved relatively soon, we're almost at the end of this timetable. Now, what will happen with their annual meeting, and I need to look at actually at the annual meeting date. Do you know, Tevis, when the annual meeting falls this year for SoFi?
June usually?
Yeah, I think it's after. I think you're right. I was like trying to think June or July. What will happen there is they'll have some new structure for the C-suite as far as performance bonuses. They should be at higher levels. I'll be a little bit ticked if it's like, hey, we'll do 25, 35s. I was like, no, come on. We were already there. You need to put it up further. I like to see things like this, though, where shareholder interest is also tied to C-suite interest. I don't know that they'll do it exactly the same. We have seen some companies that after whatever agreement has already expired or passed, that they say, let's take on a little bit different structure as well. So I don't know if you thought about that, Tevis. Do you think that they're going to do something similar where they have 3 strike levels and they just say, hey, if we hit it, we hit it?
I think they should. And one thing to keep in mind, Roy, is that I believe the current incentive package was a 4-year one. So over the next 4 years, and it was expiring in June of 26. But I believe that was like when they IPO'd, basically. So if they have another package, it's going to be like another 4 years, most likely. And so the targets should definitely be like, 50, 75, 100 kind of thing.
I would love that. Yeah. And I'd love them to get the hundreds because my shares.
Yeah, because it's over 4 years, right? Like so much changes in the macro and in their execution.
Yeah. And there's a few other versions that I'd like. One that I would really hate is if they're like, hey, let's do a tangible book value. Like if they have like one of those Tesla things where they have the 2 tables where it's like adjusted EBITDA is this and all these other performance things. Fine if you want to include that one, but yeah, I want something that is accretive for sure for shareholders, and share price is one of several ways to do it. It's oftentimes the best way, but yeah.
Yeah. Lots of questions still remaining. We're still at 31 questions. I will be drawing the cap soonish. So if you do have questions, get them in, and don't ask the same question again. So Jackson has like 15 questions that he asked us, which is like thank you, but also not thank you, but thank you.
He's
he
the new
says
Matthew Johnson.
yes. Yeah, I love how
good questions though. Honestly,
we now
like,
remember.
I love it. Yeah.
Okay, he's asking, do you guys think Amazon pulls back to the 200s, or is the market finally pricing in the Anthropic relationship? Will the negative free cash flow still be an overhang on the stock? Do you want to start, or?
Yeah, I think probably yes. 2 reasons. One is macro, and then the other is CapEx. I don't think the market is yet over its CapEx spend by hyperscalers. Amazon does not have. Last time they had to do an equity raise to fund some of the CapEx. Should they do that again, they probably will. We're going to see a pullback. 200 isn't guaranteed, but yeah, I would say it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I'll take the other side of that. I mean, I could see a pullback. At 200 is not that far away, but I think, and it's funny because like we mentioned this last week on I think this show, where I said, hey, look, earnings season is coming up. Funds are going to be repositioning themselves. Amazon could catch a bid, Meta could catch a bid, and as it just so happens, both of them did catch a bid, and earnings is around the corner. So I do think that Amazon is going to start to show some promising results of their AI efforts. Jassie's letter, I think, reinvigorated a little bit of the investor base around their vision of where they're going. And the Anthropic relationship is only going to accentuate over the remainder of the year because Anthropic is most likely going to look to IPO by the end of this year in their pursuit against OpenAI. So there's many reasons to love Amazon here from an execution perspective, from what Jassy was saying in the shareholder letter. He was even talking about selling their own chips, right?
Oh yeah, that was huge.
Exactly, right? Like, and then also from the Anthropic relationship, if Anthropic IPOs, well, it's like, well, Amazon's going to definitely benefit off of that, being the biggest, shareholder. So I think that if it pulls back to the 200s, that's an if. It's going to be short-lived. The direction for Amazon is up and to the right, and that's exactly why I have spreads on Amazon for 2028, and I think those are going to do very well. All right, Jackson again. If the street's estimate of 500 million free cash flow for Amazon is accurate, that implies 199 billion in cash flow, given the 200 billion of capex. What value do you put to that, like market cap? I mean, it depends on the time frame. I guess it's not like they're magically gonna get repriced to another valuation. I think there's going to be time for the market to digest a lot of these new pieces of information they're getting. I could see Amazon being $300 in short order, like within the next 18 months. I could totally see that. And I think there was an analyst this week that basically said Amazon at 300. Was it Cohen or there was a firm that said Amazon to 300. That was their price target. And interestingly, I don't know if you saw Amazon's AWS CEO, Roy, on CNBC this week. He basically said all of Anthropic's latest models are trained on Trainium.
I didn't see that, but yeah, that's really good news for them.
Yeah, if you want, I can try and find that we can play it. Yeah, here it is. Okay.
In that you are per run rate. Yep. How much of that goes back to AWS? And what do you make of the criticism that some of these investments appear to be circular in that you are putting billions of dollars into Anthropic, they are spending billions on your platform? What do you make of that?
Well, from an investment point of view, we see these as great investments. And I think most of that has borne itself out. And you've seen the valuations of these companies go up. And so we like the investments that we make for the investment. We think we wouldn't make investments just for usage of AWS. These are completely separate decisions for us. And the investments we think are allow us to take advantage of some of the upside of us helping them grow their business inside of the enterprise. But we also get great partnerships from them. If you look at Anthropic, they've been growing like crazy, as you mentioned, and the models that all their models that are out today are trained on Trainium. It's our custom chips, and so we've learned a lot from them on how to build better chips, how to build better clusters, how to drive better performance. And now you see the best performance in the world coming from AI models running on top of Trainium, which is fantastic for us.
So, I mean, look, just put two and two together, right? AWS CEO is saying, hey, look, Anthropic, their latest models are trained on Trainium. And then you're seeing Jassy in his note say, we have ambitions to sell our own chips. Well, I can very easily see a world where Anthropic's like, okay, cool, like we're gonna buy chips from Amazon now. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I'm saying that you can easily make that connection in your mind with those pieces of data. If Amazon takes on the chip business and it takes on Nvidia, and Nvidia is the biggest company in the world for a reason, right? So there's so many green shoots for Amazon right now that they can leverage to climb higher. And I don't think $300 is a tall order because this company has been stuck in purgatory for so long, regardless of all the successful initiatives that they're doing under the surface. Nebius price target. Mine's 200. I shared that at the beginning of the year. I think $200 is very realistic. I think that's going to get hit this year. People thought I was crazy when I was at $70. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't have one. A lot of stocks that I initially don't until I'm in them for a while, and then I'm like, okay, now I have a better understanding of the company, how the stock moves and trades as well. So I would lean on Tevis here.
Elizabeth, I'm a gambler like Tevis, but I need to be more conservative like Roy. I feel you, Elizabeth. I struggle with that as well. George, Tevis, what broker do you use? I'm in Canada. I also hate my banking app. So I use Wealthsimple for my tax haven accounts. And the reason is because they don't charge any commission. And they're like the smoothest UI app. I use Interactive Brokers for my wheeling portfolio because that's the one that I get the best fills on Interactive Brokers, like by a long shot. And I have one account that's still on Questrade that I'm trying to move out, but they don't have in-kind transfers, which is freaking annoying. So they would be forcing me to sell all my positions and then transfer the cash over. So that's why I've been procrastinating on doing that transfer. But that account would likely go into Wealthsimple. Ideally, I would stay just with Wealthsimple and with Interactive Brokers. But yeah, I don't know. I just like the functionality of Interactive Brokers. It has like a lot more for options specifically. But I think Wealthsimple is more than enough for the vast majority of people. Do you make video on your option play? No, I don't.
Most people should not be copying Tevis's option strategies.
Seriously. Yeah, it works.
Love you, but you're using money that you can afford to lose, and that's the right way to do it if you're going to be risky. There's a lot of people that are not set as far as finances, like my billionaire friend over here. So
yeah, I'm 75K in margin right now. I'm happy as a clam. I know people would be like really nervous about that, but it is what it is. Don't follow me at all, please. All right, let's see. Thomas says, I have $145 covered calls on Nebius expiring next Friday, but I don't want to give up the shares. What should I do? So Nebius has fantastic time value. What's it called? Extrinsic value. And I think you can roll those 145s out. I don't know what you got paid for those, Thomas, but I would look to roll those out because Nebius could definitely pull back to 120 or 115 easily. And like, you're fine. The thing that I would be worried about is I would be worried about like if it runs much heavier, you're not leaving yourself a lot of upside potential room. So I would just roll them.
yeah, and since your goal there is more than making premiums to preserve the shares, probably look a week or two out. Look at a options leg that actually has higher volume or open interest, and that's going to have a tighter spread for you. And then go ahead and do the roll. I wouldn't wait till next Friday. Personally, because we're right there. I've done that before. It can work out really well. It can work out not, but just for peace of mind. And when I'm rolling, I try not to roll more than a month out. These have really high, like Teva said, really high extrinsic value. So don't get too greedy. Like you can roll, roll out 2 weeks at 145, get paid a ton of money, but your goal here, according to this statement, is to preserve the shares. So what I'll often do, and I did this with my Nebius position this week, was let me go 2 weeks out. Let me see what price level I'm not paying an arm and a leg for, even getting a little bit of money back, but at a good strike higher. And so I did that, and I'll do that again at least once. At some point, I will let them go. Another option, like if you're like, hey, I think this thing is just going to moon, and I'm most concerned about that, you can always buy back the covered call. It can be very painful, though. Tevis talked about it earlier with SoFi. I rarely do that. I did do it in one single instance ever.
Yeah. Roy, do you remember 15 minutes ago when we said we had only had 31 questions left? So
Yes.
It's been 15 minutes and we have now 34 questions. So
inflation is back.
Yeah, question inflation is back.
You're saying, Roy, quit being long-winded, be quick. Okay, I got it. I'm locked in. You're locked in?
Sure.
Rapid fire.
Absolutely.
Muy rapido.
Are you buying Microsoft? I should be.
No, but maybe soon. We'll talk about it with Steve at 9.
We will. Okay. What do you guys think of BMNR? ETH was up almost 3%, but Bitmine barely cracked 1%. Where is the leverage? I'm bullish on BMNR. I make videos every Saturday on BMNR. Tune in.
Bullish. It's smaller than I would want it to be, but I have other higher priorities to add to. I think crypto winter might end in the last quarter of this year. We'll probably bottom before then. So really, it's the second half of the year I'd look to add. Andale.
Big Beard, what's your take on VG next price now that Russia is discounting their supply to Asia? Apparently, Europe flipping morals to buy too. Iran drawn out or not? So you answered this partially, but maybe you can add that extra color.
Structurally, in this year, the supply was actually tight before the conflict. Qatar is still the largest producer of the world, although they're not producing anything right now. So we're actually producing less LNG than what the world needs, and it's harder to store than oil. So yeah, I think that both are undervalued, but it's going to be volatile.
I'm still not comfortable with options. What would you guys do? I'm holding as I'm thinking long term. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the safest way you can play options if you want to dip your toes in is you can buy leaps that are at the money and go that route because you have a lot of time on your hands and directionally you're aligned with you holding shares.
Yeah, if you're totally not comfortable with options, that is fine, and you can do very well in the market. My options in my portfolio are, I think, like 6% or 7% of my portfolio. It's small. It's smaller than what it has been typically in the past. If the market keeps melting down, you'll see a higher percentage. But there are a lot of people that never touch options and do incredibly well. Like my air position, 0 options in it ever. I've sold covered calls, but you don't have to do that. It's okay.
I mean, I wrote options on air and very happy that I did. I actually sold them too soon, but yeah. All right. Wick sold off. Are we interested? Yes.
Yes. We'll talk more with Steve on that.
Am I having Claude issues today? I had Claude issues earlier this week. I haven't checked it today. Buying Microsoft. Tune in at 9 p.m. Zeta price is getting pretty interesting. You guys starting a position soon? No.
Too many opportunities out there.
What are your headphones, Roy?
Yeah, Pixel Buds. Yep, the pros.
How many shares you still above 10K or not? I will say mine above. I don't share my share amount, but it's above.
You should have asked if it's above 1 million or not. I'm just
no, it's above 10K. Dude, I think it was the great and powerful Matt Money who said this. He said, I think it was him. He said 5 figures of a stock will. He had a clever way of saying, but like 5 figures of a stock will make a big impact, but 5 figures of shares will like literally change your life. So
Positively or negatively.
yeah, it'll ruin your life if you let it. What's wrong with beam? I feel like we've answered this like 4 times. Guys, just tune in tomorrow, okay? You have a 45-minute video that has all the BM&R specifics for you tomorrow. All right, so just tune in. Suggestions for Nebius January 2028 $50 call. Congratulations on the gains. Sell the gains and buy a Rolex. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah, don't be afraid to take gains. If there's a singular and you have a smaller account, or if it's a long-term position you're exercising, just continue to hold it. If you do options, poor man's covered calls would be a nice option with very deep in the money calls like that.
Yeah, and like also you can just hold it. Like one of my biggest profits over the past like year was the SoFi. What did I have? SoFi $10 leaps when SoFi was. I think I closed them when SoFi was like at $29, something like that, because they expired in January and I closed them in November. And the entire reason that I actually held on that long was because I forgot about them. They were just in a small portfolio, and the entire portfolio was just those leaps. And I forgot about them, and I just checked one day, and I was like, "Holy crap! I have these," and they were up like 600% or something. So, like, it's not like it didn't make a super material dent, but then I just took all those leaps, sold them all, and then put them into like Nebius shares. So my point is like, if it's not gonna change your like, if you don't have a nicer home for that money, and it's not gonna change your life, then it's just like, dude, just leave it on. If you believe in Nebius, leave it on.
Also look at tax ramifications if it's not in a tax advantage account. If you're like 3 months away from long-term capital gains versus short-term in the United States, it may make more sense for you to hold it.
I'm not answering this. I'm not answering that. What do you guys think I did CSP on Shopify? What do we think of a cash secured put on Shopify expiring May of 2026? You think it's okay if I have to buy it? If you like the stock, you buy it.
So yeah, I only write cash secured puts on stocks that I would love to own at a price that I would love to own it at. Now, does that mean that there's not been times when it's been smashed to bits and it goes way lower? Of course that happens. But I'm not too mad because I'm like, hey, I would have bought this anyway at that price. So, but if you're doing the opposite, I mean, like, your strategy, there's option sellers out there and everything that roll those. And I don't do cash secured puts that way. I want to own, and I only roll right on things that I want to own at levels I want to. Then, like, hey, if it's going to fill, that's awesome. Like VG at 14. I wrote multiple puts for this Friday. It's $13 a share. I'm not like, oh man, this is terrible. I wanted more VG. I was willing to buy it at 14. I got some premium off of it. Great.
Yeah. Love watching your show. Congrats. What level of annualized returns are you chasing when you pick your covered calls? Premium, equity, 10%, 20% more. I usually just stick with like the delta of like what is my probability of getting hit. I'm not looking so much on like annualized because like there's so many weeks where I just don't do it. So for example, I didn't want to do it 2 weeks ago because I was like, everything's so cheap right now. Like, why would I take outsized risk for, if there's an announcement to end this war or something like that, like the market can rally, and like that was a good decision. But at the same time, it's like I wrote covered calls on Amazon for 225 when Amazon was at 208 or something, and then I had to roll those, right? Like, so I got a little bit I mistimed that. So my point is like I would look at annualized returns personally if I was doing what TJ's doing, where I'm treating this as a business.
Same.
If I'm not treating it as a business, here's how I do it. For shares that I don't want to let go, I generally do under 15 delta. So for example, the Nebius 200s and the Nebius 195s that I have are 0.8 delta. 0.9 delta, something like that. And for companies that are in my wheeling portfolio that I would be okay to let go, I'll generally stake between 20 to 25-ish delta, like around that range, 18 to 25-ish. And then when it comes to cash secured puts, all bets are off. I'll do, like, I just wrote cash secured puts for like 77, like negative 77 delta, negative 80, because I want to own the shares anyway. So I want to maximize the premiums, because I don't really care. Like, if I all of a sudden own SoFi shares at $22, I don't really care, man. Like, I'm holding this thing for so long, right? And so, yeah, it's probably the wrong way to think about it, but like, that's gotten me in trouble, and it's also gotten me paid multiple times. But I'm much more conservative when it comes to covered calls than I am when it comes to cash secured puts.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. If it's your strategy to make money by selling options, you're going to have a goal. If you don't, and that's not your goal, it's just overall returns. I wouldn't force yourself to have a goal, because that's going to put you in a bad position where you are taking on more risk with those options by selling them than you would otherwise. So just be careful with that if that's not your goal.
Yeah. All right. Covered. I love how this is an options episode now. Covered calls on Amazon expire next week. Strike 235. How should I roll?
I just go back to our Nebius one. It's the same kind of idea. There's different ways to roll it too, but if you want to keep the shares, and it sounds like that you do, usually I don't want to go out too far. I should add, so next week, that would be monthlies. So the third Friday of every single month are monthly. So weaker and less developed option chains, they'll only have them on the monthlies. But every single ticker, including Amazon, you're going to see a lot more liquidity on the chain. So Amazon is an exception, because I'm sure, I haven't looked at the options chain in forever, but I'm sure that there's plenty of liquidity there for any strike that you could imagine. Yeah. But if you were in a position that it wasn't, you just look for the monthlies, the third Friday of each week. Quarterlies also have even more. They do fall in monthlies as well, but yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that I'll say about this is, like, I would probably just wait it out. And I mean, okay, do this at your own risk, right? But I would probably just wait and let the time value decay, and honestly do the roll like on Thursday next week or something like that. Because I think being so close to the money, like Amazon's 237 right now, 238, and you're at 235. Again, there is a risk to doing this. But I could totally see one of those days, if it opens red, Amazon dips below 235, and then you can just close them off at a profit. So it really depends on what your risk tolerance is. Roy, price target for air.
For this year, it's $2 less than where we're at. So I'm now an air bear instead of an airhead. So let me say, as far as price target, when I'm putting price targets out there, and I know sometimes it doesn't feel that way, and honestly, when I said air it to 70, people were like, this is ridiculous, there's no way. I put them out there, bull case scenario, yes, but it's not the ultra bull or anything like that. So just because we hit my price target and it's much earlier, and I do think that we are ahead of ourselves where we should be as far as the stock, doesn't mean I'm like, okay, let me just take everything off the table. I've taken gains, but I'm letting a lot ride, even as tempting it is just to write covered calls at 95 for next month.
Yeah. Have I DCA'd into Hood? No, not as much as I want to. I don't know. Hood's under 70 right now. Like, it could be something there.
That's one of those where, like, if it falls to 60, and I don't mean 61, I don't mean 60, like 60 and some change, whatever. At that level is where I start writing some leaps. So as far out as I could get as far as time, not too ridiculous. I'm probably 90s is what I was looking at a couple of weeks ago. We're not there yet, though. It's cyclical. It does get hit by the crypto winter, like anything else, as far as a stock, a little bit as far as a business. But man, great business. It's still my number 2 position, despite this.
Here's what I'll tell you. On May 15th, my air covered calls expire. And if I can't get out of them, and if I'm forced to give away my air shares, those proceeds will go into Robinhood. Okay, that's my promise to you.
All right. Are you promising him or me? No, just kidding.
To the collective you.
Yeah.
Is Roy still doing PayPal earnings call?
No, I have no position in it. I will look at the aftermath just out of curiosity, and I'm rooting for remaining bulls. I don't want to cover it live for a couple of reasons. One is I don't have a position, and I don't really want to have one. And second, I never really want to be the guy that when it's falling down, I'm like, aha, take it. And they're like, no, I don't want to do that. So, but I'll look out of curiosity. I'm just kind of curious if things change. Honestly, like if things change for the much better, and like I see a clear thesis and stuff, I reserve the right to change my mind. I don't think that's going to happen, and it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah. What SoFi leaps are you guys getting? I did 15s for June 2028 and also 18s for June 2028, which is the furthest date out in the option chain available.
The only ones I have left are $10 strikes for January of this next year.
Wow,
in the money still.
You still have those?
Yeah, not many. I think it might be like under 20 right now. So I'd have to look. But
do you guys have any thoughts on Oracle down 60% from highs? Companies like Nebius and other neoclouds are getting a bid, yet Oracle isn't. Any opinion on this?
I think it's just the whole AI space and the CapEx stuff. Like Oracle tried to bite off more than they could chew. They got slapped for it, and probably rightfully so. I don't know this. Like there was a thesis out a few years ago that the neoclouds would just the non-SQL would destroy the SQL, the traditional, and it hadn't played out at all. Like there's actually been several of those against Oracle. So I'm just like, I don't know if one of those is playing out or not. I think Oracle will be okay. I just think there's way, like the most challenging for a lot of the companies that you guys are asking about is there's a ton of opportunities. If the market and all the tech stuff and all the AI names were up where they were before, would we be thinking seriously about Oracle as a position? Maybe.
Yeah. Is Microsoft dead? And should I sell my? Yes, it is dead. Sell all your shares. It's going to go to zero. You're going to lose all your money.
Yeah, I think you're asking as far as sarcasm. So of course it's not going to zero. I think it's really attractive here, but we'll talk more about that in the next show.
Is Hood dead? Like, dude, guys, come on.
It's really the same company. Yeah.
Do you have the next Nebius? Dude, I hate you guys when we're in a bull run. I think you guys are so freaking annoying when we're in a bull run. It's like, oh, where's the free money? I like you guys better when we're all losing money together. You guys are more empathetic.
Yeah.
The next Nebius is Nebius. It's $30 billion, guys.
On Robinhood, did you see, I believe it was at the very front of this week or it was late last week, that Robinhood was announced as the white label developer of the Trump accounts? Did you see that?
I saw that.
Okay, yeah. So it's not that they've been doing nothing, and in quiet times they're usually building a lot. Like they don't stop. Like even over Christmas they're building. So they're doing the Robin. Like yeah.
And keep in mind, earnings is around the corner, right? So you're going to get a whole bunch of new product updates when earnings comes.
Yeah.
I have 1,000 shares of Nebius, $37. Elizabeth, you want to adopt me? Sell 250 and add to Microsoft. I think that's a good move, quite frankly. If you want to reduce risk, Nebius is going to be more volatile than Microsoft. And so if you want to reduce risk, then you can definitely go into Microsoft. But if you believe in the Nebius thesis, if you watch the Nebius videos that I put out, then I'm more bullish on Nebius, of course. But again, one thing that you guys know as you have been following this show and this channel is like back at the end of last year, what did I say? I said I want to consolidate into some positions of safety. And now Meta is 15% of my portfolio. Amazon, if you put together the spreads and the shares, is 10% of my portfolio. A lot of that money came from other more risky stuff. So I think there's no shame in booking some profits from your volatile small cap winners and adding to your long-term holds. Microsoft is down quite a bit right now. It's actually a very attractive valuation. So I like that. It all depends on what you want to achieve with your portfolio, though.
Yeah, and I think Tevis, you're thinking about it the wrong way. Not as far as the question, but as far as the you want to adopt me. If she's American, she's somewhat attractive. Obviously, she's intelligent and wealthy and single. Don't think about adoption. Think about marriage.
That's what I mean by adopt. I am a child. Anyways, do you guys think Palantir is a good buy at 130 as a short-term trade? Do you think it keeps falling with SaaS?
Long term, yeah, it's a good buy, but short term, I don't think so. They're going to have earnings. They're going to be phenomenal. Like analysts know this. Like you look at what they're predicting as far as the growth. It's ridiculous. I don't know that that'll be enough to dispel this narrative that's out there related to AI, and now Palantir is caught up in the SaaS stuff. I don't know. I would not do a short term trade based on that.
All right, next question. Where do you guys see yourselves and your channels in 5 years? It's a wild question. Did you know my channel is only it started in December 2020, so what would that make it? This would be the 6th year? No, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. December 25 was year 5 for the channel. So yeah, this would be the 6th year.
That's awesome, dude.
That's great. Like that's crazy to think that 5 years from now, it's like I'm only halfway through. You know, if you think about it like that. That 5 years ago, I barely had a channel. I had like maybe 300 subscribers.
So I think like if you have some goals to share, then that's great. I think maybe the better question for us, because a lot of the content creators are full-time doing this, and there's nothing wrong with that. Do you think in the next 5 years you might shift to doing this full-time?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific thought in mind of like what would it take to do that, as far as like when you would do that?
Well, I mean, I just took on a new job, and it's like an executive role at a very fast growing fintech. It's like actually like a bank, which is kind of crazy. They were
You
teaching
don't need to talk yourself up for Elizabeth. She already knows.
they were teaching me, Roy, last week. They were like, okay, so there's this thing. It's called net interest income, and we're just going to teach you all the terminology. And I was just like, thanks. And so my point being, it's like I'm still, taking on new opportunities in my main career, but I think that there will be a point of diminishing returns, and it's already started for me, where I find more satisfaction from this, and it's not feasible right now financially to make it a full-time thing. I think at the point where it does become feasible, that's the point that I do it, right? So I would say maybe it's funny. I was telling my dad, I was like, hey man, because he was like, how's the new job going? And I was telling him, I was like, I think this is going to be the last job that I have, because once I'm done with this, I'm just going to do YouTube full time. And he was so against that idea. He was like, you never know where the, social media trends will go. It's not stable. It's not this. You need a career. You've built it so much, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, dude, I don't care about the money. Like, it's nice, but I just get so much enjoyment from this. So sometime in the next 5 years, I do think I will do YouTube full time, but I think that it's not going to be in the next 12 months. So 2 years, I think, would be the minimum. Like 27, my goal was to do it at the start of 27. I don't necessarily know that that's going to be realistic anymore. I don't know. It all depends on the growth, Roy. Right? I think where Tanner's channel is right now, it could start to be financially viable. So the faster that I grow, the faster that this can be full time. I know Steve just did full time, and he has like 15K, subs, which is like half of my channel. But I think he's at a different stage in life. So
yeah, And do you mind if I share a Bible verse that's related to that?
Please, dude, please.
All right. So
We're still
this
live.
is from yeah, I know. This is from Ecclesiastes, and it was I grew up as an atheist and everything, and Ecclesiastes was one of those books when I was first reading the Bible that I was like, whoa. So this is what I've observed to be good, that is appropriate for a person to eat and drink and find satisfaction in their toilsome labor under the sun during the few days of life God has given them, for this is their lot. Moreover, when God gives someone wealth and possessions and the ability to enjoy them, and that's the key part right there, to accept their lot and be happy in their toil, this is a gift from God. So you finding something that you enjoy, that you love, that you're building, you're creating, you're also it's not all about wealth, but it's a nice thing to have possessions and everything. It's awesome that you've found that you're enjoying that, and you're enjoying life. I think it's much better. Like I'm sure that most of us have worked jobs and done things that we're like, we hate this, but we have to do this because of X, Y, and Z. For me, I'm blessed because I have my dream job, and it is awesome. And I hope that I'm still doing it in 5 years, and that's just thriving and doing well. I do think over the next 5 years that the income from this will probably exceed that. It's not, what the dream job is, but it's not a super high paying. They pay me well, but so yeah, I hope I continue to do both and handle that balance. But yeah, we'll have to see. I have some goals out there, but yeah, no, I don't plan to be full time. There is a scenario where if something happens or I've set them up so well that it's time to move on. Which it's happened. Well, I won't say it's happened before, but I've been there before. And then my wife wants to take on a role that moves us to a different part of the country or whatever. I could see myself make the switch and do full time, just because I'm like, hey, but really love what I'm doing. I like the balance that I have here. So yeah.
Whatever we end up doing over the next 5 years, you guys are along for the ride for that journey. Because I don't think either of us are thinking about closing down our channels anytime soon. So you guys are going to find out, and feel free to clip this and rub it in our face 5 years later when we are or are not doing what we have set out to do on this call.
Yeah.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Great question, though. I love questions like that. That's, I think, the point of this entire show. Was just having non-stock related stuff like that as well. Are we interested in service now?
Yeah, I mean, probably not. I wouldn't mind. That's one of the few mega cap SaaS companies that I would definitely wouldn't mind, and it's attractive here as far as valuation. But I don't love it. I think I prefer to buy Microsoft or Wix over that. Of course, more Palantir too. But so I mean, if it keeps falling at some point, I need to take it seriously. But everything in that basket is falling.
Intel?
Nah.
Yeah. At what price would I be a buyer at Palantir? I think under $100. Maybe. It would depend on what the other companies that I'm looking at are, and I wouldn't be opposed to buying under. I don't know. My guts is even lower than that, but I don't know if it can. It'll go lower than that. I definitely think under 100, I'll be adding it to a short list of stocks to watch for sure.
Get a short Palantir to 100. Just kidding.
Yeah. Okay. How many languages do I know? What's our first language? Yeah. So my language, I know 3 languages, and my first language is I'm actually from the same country as the former mayor of New York, Eric Adams, is. So that was the weird news of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Can you speak just one sentence in Albanian?
No, I'm not going to do that on camera. I mean, I could, but I don't. Yeah. So I speak English, Albanian, and then Spanish. I would say is the third language. Are we going to do a potential meetup in August? TBD. I think yeah, if I'm in the country in August, then for sure. Um, but I think Tanner's pretty set on doing one. So if we do one, you guys will know ahead of time. Yeah.
It's hard as working men to get
I
that time.
I love when you pronounce his name, because his last name is very common, and because he's Albanian. When he asked the question earlier, and you were like Andy Hoxha, and it's like, yep, I can recognize his name. I'm going for a gamble answer. Would you trim Nebius if your cost basis is under 40? Yeah. I mean, look, similar to the Microsoft question, it really depends on what your goals are. With regards to Nebius, I think right now, like, it's my number one position. Did I intend for it to be my number one position? No. Nobody went broke taking profits. Okay. So if your cost basis is under 40, if your cost basis is under 100, it doesn't matter. If you want to trim, then you go ahead and do that. But don't cry to me when it goes to $200 and all of a sudden you missed out on, gains. Be happy with the fact that you locked some in. Because I held SoFi until $32 and I felt like on top of the world, and now SoFi's at $16. And I would have loved to have trimmed, more along the way. I did trim some, and people really got mad when I trimmed SoFi. And it's like, well, look, 6 months later, turned out to be a great decision. SoFi even raised more money when they were at $27. Turned out to be a great decision. So my point is the market is unpredictable, and so if you take some chips off the table, you don't know what your next hand is going to be. It could be a winning hand. It could be a losing hand. So you're an adult. Make adult decisions. I have NVIDIA $100 calls that I bought last April. Should I execute or sell them?
I'll take that one. Just to give you the way to think through this is, I think a couple of things. One is your portfolio balance. Are you happy with where it's at? If you execute this, great. And also, what's your highest conviction that you want to own more of? If it's not NVIDIA, but some random drone stock, you should probably sell and buy that drone stock. If it's, I think NVIDIA is probably one of the best bets out there. It's asymmetrical from here. Do NVIDIA. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's Two brothers. Love you, Dr. Roy. Check out Acts 18:9-10. I don't know what that is. You probably know it.
Yeah, I know the passage. It's good. I love that passage.
Dude, this is the thing that always blew my mind about people who are religious is how do they know all of these? They have the entire book memorized. I'm like, dude, however good a book is, I don't think I can memorize it line by line. I'm not.
I've got some memorized in the original language too.
Well, you're not a doctor for nothing, man.
I guess.
Have I tried Wealthsimple's AI option trading? No, I have not tried it yet. It bugs me to try it every single time I log in. So, but yeah, not yet. Is Trump going to tweet before Monday? Probably. Did he tweet yet?
Yeah, he will. Well, I think the opposite, though. I think it'll tank the market, but I hope I'm wrong.
Market. Oh, did you see this?
Probably not. I don't look at things while we're streaming, other than the chat.
Pleased to announce that my administration officially filed the presentation and plans for the highly respected Commission of Fine Arts for what will be the greatest and most beautiful triumphal arc anywhere in the world. This will be the most wonderful addition to the Washington, D.C. area for all Americans to enjoy for many decades to come. President Donald J. Trump.
I'm glad it's just not Trumpful arch or something.
Cool. Yeah. Dude, did you see somebody threw a Molotov at Sam Altman's house?
I did. I hate that.
What? What is going on? That is...
So what exactly is going on is Americans, by and large, are really distrustful of AI, especially as it relates to jobs. So the one area that they kind of do trust is medical. But let me show you this real quick. I know we're in Q&A, so this will be quick. This is something
Oh, I
that
love this.
fellow posted on why Americans win every new technological era. And this is how you would think that this AI thing would be playing out, that Americans are mostly like, this is awesome. Eastern Europeans are like, no, terrible. And then, just not objective. And historically, that's been true. But the actual reality, this is probably, let me new tab and do this. Whoa. This is from Pew Research, October 14th. On X, I posted the link as well, if you're curious. There's a lot of interesting things there, and more than just one chart. But out of all these 25 countries that they asked, the United States, on average, is more concerned than excited by far. If you have the equals and the more than, there's only 10% margin of error, I guess. They're more excited than concerned. And you scroll down, you see countries like Nigeria, which are like, yeah, let's go, and Israel and India, South Korea. The United States is like, no, AI, not in my backyard. It's crazy. I think it mostly comes down to jobs. And then if you look at where our population distribution is, just because of the baby boomer generation, my parents are boomers, so no hate on them. But they have tended, not always, to be more skeptical with AI, a vast majority. So,
yeah, that's a really interesting chart around the American exceptionalism, let's call it. Which call option do you think is going to hit? All of them. That's why I'm buying the call option. As for the ones that I sold covered calls on, look, dude, if Nebius goes to $200 in 2 weeks, I don't think I'll be too sad about that. Okay, and if I'm gun to my head, I'm forced to sell Nebius shares at 195 and $200. Granted, I think right now I have covered calls on Nebius for about 60 to 70% of my position. So like if I get forced to sell 70% of my Nebius position at $200, it'll suck, sure, but at the same time, it's like Nebius is like 32% of my portfolio. So if it goes up another $50 from here, can't be too sad about that. So yeah. First to $500, Broadcom or TSM. TSM just reported earnings, I believe. And
is it?
I
know that they're early, but I thought it was next week.
Yeah, just reported $13 billion in revenue, and they're up about 31% year over year.
I need to read those then.
Here you go.
This is actually a fantastic question. Market cap's close. They're in the same space. They are right around at the same price as well. That's tough. I'd say TSMC, but yeah, they'll probably both get there around the same time.
Yeah, I like that. And I think Broadcom's been disrespected by the market for so long. I think there is a very real case to be made for Broadcom to be one of the Mag 7, or at least treated that way. But, they've been disrespected. I think Hawk is a great CEO, and I don't understand the Broadcom, hate that they might get. Granted, it has run tremendously. It's at $371 per share, which is crazy. Honestly, look at this, Roy, because Broadcom similarly has been behaving quite like NVIDIA. In like you'll see this right here, where it's just been stable coin right here. Because if I go on NVIDIA, same thing, right? Same chart, right?
Yep.
They have been moving in unison.
Pull up TSM out of curiosity. Oh, okay. Yeah. A little different.
So, yeah, it's a little different, right? Yeah. So something to keep in mind. Anyways. Anyways, let's move on. Any thoughts on Bloom?
I don't know that one. Sorry.
You don't know Bloom?
I know of it. I don't know it.
The Dumb Money guys are really big on this, and it's like clean energy for AI something. Anyways, doesn't matter. That should be your answer right there. We don't have that many thoughts on it. What happens to the market when Trump is taken out of office? The reason I ask is I don't think I can afford a major downfall. Thinking of trimming to avoid a major downfall. So I'm not sure, Mary, if you mean impeachment or if you mean when his term is over. Because I think those are two different things.
I think I don't think there's really that many scenarios other than like he is in his 80s, I believe, or right there. He's not young. Like if he has an untimely death, and I hope that doesn't happen, and I really hope if it does happen, it's natural causes. But that would be bad. Like the market would not like that at all. It would be fine. It would recover. But as far as like him exiting the office in a couple of years, I think it'll be fine. Like it's just the market actually tends to do quite well around major presidential elections, especially when there's clarity. I think they're probably going to get gridlock here with what's going to happen in October or November rather, which is the markets love gridlock. So I think it's going to do very well.
Yeah, and if you look at polling market, I mean, Dems have flipped Republicans in terms of expectations for midterms by in many areas, right? So the market starts to price that stuff in fairly early. It's just if we have like some shocking event, then obviously you're going to get a shocking result, but I don't think it's going to last all that long. The market just wants stability. And if Trump, gets sick and passes away or something, then you're going to get a big pullback as a result of it. A lot of algos, a lot of uncertainty. But as you then get more certainty as to, okay, what's going to happen now? What are some of the decisions? What are some of it's going to stabilize fairly quickly. So it's the same as any other event that, rocks the market. I wouldn't be worried about it, quite frankly. Price target on Cloudflare.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one that I'm really interested in that I don't own. And that's my weekend project. So tomorrow I have a stream with a TA guy, Cantonese Cat on X. We've done these 3 or 4 times before, fundamentals and technical analysis. So I'm the fundamentals guy. He's the TA guy. I'm going to be asking him on TA, specifically on Cloudflare and a bunch of other names as well. It's helpful to have somebody, I use TA a little bit, but to have somebody that's actually an expert in this space.
Yeah.
After this weekend, I hopefully will have an answer for myself, what I'm trying to buy in at.
Yeah.
It is expensive.
I'm in a similar boat. I've been looking at Cloudflare for a while, but it always trades at a premium. And it's going to be interesting, Roy, because this also speaks to investor psychology, because the moment that Cloudflare does not trade at a premium anymore, you know what the first question I'm going to ask you is? Are you still buying, or is it going to get disrupted by AI because of all the things that Claude is doing, right? Like there is real fear there, and that's why it's not trading at a premium anymore. And so like the question becomes, it's like investing is such a weird game, man.
The Cloudflare being disrupted by AI is probably the dumbest thing that I've seen. Like you can make that argument. I think it's wrong for like Palantir. I think it's wrong for like overstated for ServiceNow. But like Cloudflare, what are you doing?
Thank you, Duck. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Duck.
Anything else to add there? It links to this other question.
I mean, like, yeah, the two that we'll talk more about this with Steve, I'm sure. But I'm very interested in Cloudflare. Love to have Cloudflare. Wouldn't mind owning Wix or Microsoft should things continue where they're at right now, actually.
Yeah, Figma is also interesting to me. I wonder if they're gonna, how Figma Make is operating, and that's like their response to their AI, AI empowered design creation. It's called.
I would say, like, I'm looking at these as long term, not short term.
Yeah. Duck is
You're the man.
on a spending spree right now. Thank you very much, Duck.
Thank you, sir.
Roy started buying Palantir again. My shares got called at 140. Thoughts?
I'm doing the same thing. I had shares, more shares get called away than I wanted to let go. Still, they were up massively, but yeah, I'm nibbling here. I nibbled earlier this week, and I'll probably continue to do that. If we keep falling, I've got money and capacity to add. You know, if Burry's right on the $40 price target for Palantir, he's not, but let's say he is, I'll probably just own Palantir.
Yeah. Are we interested in APLD? Haven't looked at it.
Haven't looked at it in a while, so yeah, I wouldn't say real interested.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, sir.
Are y'all adding to Palantir?
Yes. Slowly, even here.
Roy, look at the next question in the queue. Do you want to answer it, or do you want me to skip it?
I'll just say, as far as what I do for it, yeah, go and throw it out there. It's unrelated to anything on YouTube, investing, not really related to business. So, when and if I ever share, and I might, it'll be thoroughly unimpressive to most of you guys, which is fine.
Tommy and Jerry says, where do you guys keep getting income to keep buying? Have you noticed how I only make 2 videos a week, and they usually are on Friday and Saturdays? Because I have a job, dude, and Roy does as well, and neither of us are full-time YouTubers. And if you add it up, every single dollar I've made on YouTube over the past 5 years, it's about what I make in a month, maybe 2 months. Like, this does not pay us. We don't get paid very well with this. It's getting to a place where it eventually can cover living expenses and such. But if all I had to rely on was YouTube to sustain my life, forget about adding money into the market. I'm taking money out of the market. So it's our full-time jobs.
Yeah. I have a sponsor, and I'm open to the potentiality to adding in one, but it would be hard if I had to make this full time. Like, I think it'd grow into being able to support my family, but it's not at that point. It's a hobby that pays. Since I have a sponsor, probably much better actually, since I'm in America. So than for Tevis, but
yeah,
it's like he makes a ton more with his job than I do. So. It works both ways, but yeah, all I do basically is I have some money that comes into the market every single time I get paid, and it's a small part of my paycheck, but it does add up. And then the Robinhood 3% cash back, that goes right in the market too.
Yeah. Why did Eric Adams get Albanian citizenship? Is the guy stashing his cash? Dude, that was the most shocking news I've seen today. And you cannot convince me that we do not live in a simulation when you see news like this. It's just a crazy time to be alive, man, of all the places. I think this is a question for you, Roy. What time on Saturday for your Cantonese cat stream?
It's 2:00 Eastern time. I should already have it as far as on my channel up there. So yeah, it'll be a good one. He's a great guy too, like really good. Does not show his face, so he may actually be a cat.
Yeah, great TA as well. MD says, how do you keep your conviction when a stock you hold is cut in half? For me, it's shift 4. In the back of my mind, I fear it's going to be the next PayPal, but they're growing at 25% plus and insider buys. I would say revisit the bull case, revisit the thing that made you buy in the first place, and that will really reinvigorate your bullishness. I've had to do this exercise several times with SoFi, with other companies that I hold. When Nebius fell to $70 a share in December and also in February, I had to do it with Nebius. I revisited the bull case. I looked at the numbers again. I re-listened to the earnings call, and I said, am I missing something here, or is the market missing something here? And when I realized that the market is, that's when I put more money in. And I think it's going to be similar for you with Shift 4.
Yeah.
A difference between East and West Europe small talk. West, nice weather we're having. East, life is a tragedy and then you die. Enjoy some plum brandy. Yes, this is very true.
I love Russian literature and history because it's exactly like that. And my oldest son, I got him into some Russian literature. This is years ago when he's a teenager, and he's like, "Dad, why are all these books tragic?" It's like, "Have you looked at Russian history, son?"
And you know what, man? I feel like people here in North America, they don't even appreciate that side at all. And I think that's partially why so many people here are speaking on things they quite frankly know nothing about, because they're doing so from a position of privilege and they've never lived that life, and they're trying to dictate how the people that are living that life should be living through their lens of like, oh, I've always seen the world in color, you know? And as somebody who did spend like half my life in another continent, um, the mentality is drastically different. So, anyways, neither here nor there. Yeah, 2 p.m. on Roy's channel, him and Cantonese Cat. Roy, would you recommend moving to Texas versus California? I'm assuming.
Yeah, come for a visit. See if you like it. If you like the California type of vibe, you're not going to get the weather here, but Austin is a place that a lot of people have enjoyed. San Antonio has a really nice scene. I've not been in Dallas Fort Worth, really actually since I've been down here. I need to do that because I'm a Texas Rangers fan. But Houston's good too, but it's a massive city. I love it here. There's lots of perks. There is a lot of traffic. Property tax is high, and the heat can be oppressive. But if you don't mind any of those things, and you're like, hey, I'm already doing that, almost everything else is just fantastic. It really is. I love it.
Look at the headline that I just read, Roy. New York Times: Iran can't find the mines that it laid in the Strait of Hormuz, so they're unable to open the waterway. I don't know what to make of this.
I don't know. I know that account. I don't know that they're trustworthy. I would.
Yeah, well, it's that account, which is one layer, and then they're quoting New York Times, is just like a whole other layer.
Yeah. Both. No. I mean, there's minesweepers for a reason, so it's like, yeah.
Dude, we have to get dinner in Texas soon. I need to come down. I'm actually going down to New York City not next week, the week after that, for work. So I'm probably going to meet Steve for like lunch or dinner or something. I don't know that we have any investors on. We actually have a big partner of ours in Nashville. So I think next time I go down to Nashville to meet them, I might swing by Texas. But I'm going to make it my goal to meet you in person in 2026. Roy is the only one out of the entire gang that I haven't met yet. I've met everybody else. I've met Chris, Amit, Tanner, Sam Solid, like all of these guys I've met. Matt Money multiple times. Roy's the only one I haven't met. And he's the one that I talk with the most from a podcast perspective, which is crazy. All right.
Be fun.
If you determine it's worth owning Cloudflare, what is a good price to buy it at?
Still trying to figure it out. Mentioned earlier, doing a episode with TA specialist at 2:00 Eastern time tomorrow. I'm going to ask him TA questions. I'm going to look at the fundamentals too. Lower, it's still at a premium, probably wherever I want to buy it at, but I have to determine that relatively soon because the market might give that opportunity, and I don't want to miss it if it does.
Yeah. Yes, you did. We met in New York. I forget your name. I want to say Curtis, but I forget. Remind me again. I think I'm pretty sure Curtis. Could be wrong. Barbecue. Terry Black's in Austin was delicious. Franklin's was also delicious in Austin. Caleb, that's it. I won't forget again, Caleb. Yeah, barbecue, great. And the funny thing is, like, I went down and I did an entire Texas trip. I started in Dallas, Fort Worth, and I went all the way down to through El Paso, Austin. What's the other one? San Antonio, and I went all the way down to Boca Chica to watch the SpaceX launch. And all of this was before I knew Roy. Like before we were close. I'm sure I knew of you at that point, which is kind of crazy now that I think about it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Roy, do you read Russian literature in Russian? Good question.
Я могу считаю, я забыл очень много русский язык, потому что I never get a chance to practice. I don't remember how to say practice in Russian. So in English, I can, but it's very slow. When the Russian-Ukraine war actually broke out, that was the first time that I'd read in Russia for a while. And Ukrainian is different, but I wanted to see some of the things that people were saying were happening. And I'm like, I can read Russian. Let me go ahead and do that. But it's slow because I took it in high school. I took 4 years of it, but yeah. Alaska was a good place to learn that sort of stuff. And yeah, when I was in school, I believe the 3rd year and also the 4th year, we were reading in Russian. So yeah, Tevis's 3rd language is probably more strong than my Russian right now. So
you speak some Spanish too.
Hablo poquito español. Necesito más práctica.
Hey, there you go. All right. Who taught you guys to do options? I want to learn. I had the privilege of learning from the one, the only GOAT of options selling, and that is TJ the Wheel Deal. Go follow him on YouTube. You will not regret it.
Yeah, he is absolutely great to learn from. He's starting to make videos again, but In the Money, I don't know if you know him or not, or that channel, really big during COVID, and he had some health issues. That's where I first learned. And then Roach Capital was one way back in the day. I don't know if he still does videos or not, but yeah. In the Money, though, even though some of those videos are dated, very good. And yeah, TJ for sure.
Duck is being a good mod from day one. I love it. Yeah, In the Money is also great. I've seen some of his videos. He's like a blonde kid, right?
He looks like the Wall Street Bros like image. I don't know if it was done that way on purpose, but yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Why you and Amit don't have girlfriend? Is this my mom on a burner account? Like, I don't know. I'm trying. Okay, jeez, leave me alone. Yeah, TBD, man. TBD. We'll see.
Yeah.
Two brothers. Thank you, boys, for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you so much for the donation and to all of you guys for being here and spending your Friday evening with us. Roy, I'll ask you one last question before we wrap up, okay? Here we see the sell-off in SAS. If you could only pick one company on this from these 20, what's your gut say? Which one would it be?
Boy, that's hard. I don't really want to own any of those.
You gotta hold it for 5 years.
Figma. Yeah. That's one I wouldn't mind owning, actually. There's some others that I would be decently happy with. Like I wouldn't hate Snowflake, ServiceNow, MDB, Mongo. Help me out.
Yeah, MongoDB.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't do DocuSign, although if real estate does well. But yeah, those I wouldn't hate at all.
Did you see that Unity signed a deal with Meta, Roy, this week?
Mm-hmm.
That could be interesting. I gave Tanner Unity probably at the wrong year. I don't think it's done any better.
Yeah. I don't know. Like a lot of these could do well. That's cool. I love what's happening there. Jared Isaacman, I'm glad he got to be the head of NASA. Really.
Yeah. I'm rewatching For All Mankind. Man, that's a great show.
I watched the first episode and my wife wasn't really that into it. And I only have so much time. So usually if I watch something, it's with her. So, but yeah, it seemed great.
It's cool, man. Cause like it spans like now they're on season 5 or whatever. And it's like 4 decades after the original and moon landing. And like they have a base and they have a base on Mars. And it's like all of these like nuclear engines, all this like technology. And I think the thing that I liked about it was, so for context, it's like an alternative history Apple TV produced show where in the first episode, it's like the Russians land on the moon 1 month before the Americans do. And as a result, it keeps this like space race going. And because of that, they've put way more funding into the space program. And it just launches this entire, like, other timeline that never happened where there's fewer wars because of it, because now like North Korea is one of the countries that like is investing into their space program as opposed to like their ballistics program. You have electric cars like 20 years, 30 years before we actually did in reality, because all of this technology is coming from necessities that they have to further advance the space race. Anyways, it doesn't my silly explanation doesn't do it justice. Good show. Rewatching it, the Artemis thing just reminded me of it. Shall we
The Martian.
wrap there?
I have one question for you. Fair's fair.
Okay.
If you get a chance to go to space, let's say it's $100,000 or something like that, and you can afford it. But it costs some money, and it's space. It's not just outer orbit or something. Would you want to do that?
Yeah, but for how long?
Just a couple days.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. I think
It's hard to sell options if you're in space. I don't know that the connection, the latency, and everything. So
Hey man, with Starlink, it's probably faster up there.
maybe.
Yeah,
Same answer. I would love to. Yeah.
it's like I live in Canada, sir. I'm probably going to get an upgrade from going to space. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. We will be back very shortly, in 45 minutes, alongside Mr. Steven Fiorello, the full-time YouTuber. On whatever channel you're watching, we're going to be back there. I just got to get some food and go sit in the dark for 45 minutes, lower my cortisol, and then I'll be back with you guys, and we're going to talk about the markets. When do I escape Canada? Whenever somebody with U.S. citizenship agrees to marry me. That's pretty much how that goes. Paliminderi from Andy Hoja. Paliminderi to you as well, my friend. And we'll see you next Tuesday for Bootleg Weekly if you don't catch us later tonight on this channel at 9 p.m. Thanks so much. Goodbye. Adios.